What do you recommend for a daily extra? Thanks for all you do. Honestly, it is your call. I know that, like, Matt, I'm asking you because, yeah, you know, anything above and beyond the daily gratuities that you pay, the automatic gratuity is very encompassing. It's very good. You should not feel like you're stiffing anybody by doing that. You're doing the right thing with that kind of a gratuity. In terms of tipping extra, it is really up to you. You might say, "Well, I just want to give them a little something extra." They're not. Nobody's like doing anything amazing. They're good at what their job is. But they're not like "Hey, this is the best room 10 ever." So maybe you do a couple dollars a day. Maybe you do a couple dollars per person. I usually tip at the end of the cruise. That's just my style. I'll still do the automatic gratuities, and then on top of it, I'll give the guy or gal some sort of cash tip, depending on how many people are with me, how long the cruise was, and were they amazing? Were they helpful? Were they just, they did a good, like, there's nothing wrong with doing a good job. Being average is really good on a cruise ship. And I might tip them, I might say, okay, well, a 3-night cruise, 4 people, here's $50 extra. Here you go, right? Maybe it's a stateroom attendant that really went above and beyond. Like, they went into my kid's stateroom and, like, sort of organized that mess every time we, despite our best efforts to keep it, like, not a mess. And maybe they deserve a little more extra on that. But really, even if it was $10, trust me, they're not going to be like, "Oh, this is insulting, sir." So yeah, definitely good stuff there. How was Starlink? Starlink was great. So I was on Independence of the Seas this weekend. It was my first time trying out the new Starlink connection, because Independence is one of the few ships right now that has it. My understanding is Freedom has it, Independence has it, and I've gotten reports that Liberty of the Seas has it as well. I've not confirmed it, but I have no reason. Not accurate. And it worked. I mean, for almost everything, it was fine. The only issue it was hit or miss was for streaming. We were trying to stream the baseball playoffs. It had a lot of buffering that it dealt with. It was fine. It certainly was. I think that's more of an edge case scenario. For everything else, checking Facebook, doing RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com stuff, it worked exceptionally well. The latency was great. I'm very happy with it. It's a huge upgrade from the old one, and I really like that. So on ships like Independence that previously just had meh internet, it's a huge step up. I really, really enjoy that. That was my favorite thing to do in Costa Maya. I love going to Maya Chan. Maya Chan is an all-inclusive, not through Royal Caribbean, that you can book. It's a beach day pass. It's the best service I've had. Really, really like it. I also really like Jamie's at Blue Reef. It was really good. We went there again. I went there 2 times now. I was just there a couple weeks ago and absolutely had a wonderful time. So I say either of those are 2 really, really compelling choices. Of course, there's many more things. You go to the Choctobin ruins. And by the way, up until today, I've been mispronouncing it. I called it Chocoben. It's not correct. It's Choctobin. So now I learned my my lesson there. Might be hard to tell from a 3-nighter, but was there any significant cost difference in Starlink? No, exactly the same. And that doesn't necessarily mean anything, Susan. So ever since Royal Caribbean announced they would upgrade Starlink to Starlink, that is on all the ships, a lot of people wondered, will there be a price change? And I think a lot of people actually assume they will go up. But there's been no change as of yet, Susan. Will there be? I don't know. Royal Caribbean has been mum on details. They basically said there are more details coming soon, which is, Royal likes to have all their ducks lined up before they make these kinds of announcements. They don't like doing it piecemeal necessarily, especially with policy change like this. So the bottom line is nothing has changed yet. Could it change? Sure. But for right now, nothing has changed that I've seen across the board. What is it like going solo cruising? Things you wish you knew beforehand. What do you like the most? What I like about the most is it is a very liberating experience in the sense you could do what you want when you want it. You are not beholden to anybody else. Like, usually, Eduardo, you think, okay, well, let's go do something, and you have to, I don't say compromise, but you have to include the other person. Like, hey, what do you want to do right now? Should we do this? Well, I kind of want to do that. There's none of that. It is fly by the seat of your pants in a good way, and you get to do what you want when you want it. It's a really nice experience from that. I call it liberating because it's just a nice change of pace. Probably the biggest downside to cruising solo is the lack of being able to just literally turn to somebody and start talking to them. I found every single time I cruise solo, I don't get lonely. I get like I got no one to talk to kind of situation. You know what I mean? Like, usually when you're there with somebody else, there's small talk, right? Like, oh wow, that line is really long, or hey, might rain soon, or wow, that was a lot of fun. Let's do that. Like, it's those little things that matter. So, I would also point out that if you get an internet package, which I would say is a must do if you're solo, you can really use that, leverage the internet to regain that sense of communication, right? Whether you are texting or calling or FaceTiming friends and family back home, whether you are posting on the message boards on Facebook, there are ways to help deal with that. And I felt like Facebook and the internet in general was really good at helping that out. But is it true? Wonder Mariner is headed to dry dock. And if so, why? Yes, every cruise ship, Joe, goes in for a dry dock about every 5 years. It's just part of the maintenance cycle. Just like your car goes in for maintenance every whatever 3,000, 10,000 miles. Same idea. Every ship is scheduled for dry dock, in which they have to do work about every 5 years or so. So it's just routine maintenance under the hood. Clean it up, that kind of stuff. Why doesn't Royal Caribbean go to Grand Cayman or Jamaica? Grand Cayman is definitely a must-stop port. No, well, the biggest problem with Grand Cayman is there's no dock. You have to tender, which is not a great experience, not an ideal experience, I should say. Tender docking, where you actually pull up to a pier and line up and be able to walk off the ship, is far better overall experience. Tendering, in which you board a little tender boats, little ferry boats to bring you back and forth, is time consuming. And depending on the weather, it can be an issue. But Royal Caribbean does go to Grand Cayman. It's not every single sailing. Royal Caribbean does go to Jamaica. They go to a port called Falmouth. Not every cruise goes there. There are some ports that have more stops than others. There's a lot of reasons for that. Some have to do with the arrangements that Royal Caribbean has. Like certain countries, Royal Caribbean will say, we will promise you X amount of passengers, X amount of cruise ship stops in exchange for a better deal on pricing, on the amount, because every passenger that gets off on a cruise ship in a port, it doesn't even get off. Just like any ship that docks in a port pays a fee to that country for the amount of people on board, and they can get a better deal maybe with one of these. There's a lot of arrangements. Maybe the country invests more in their piers, other things. It kind of depends on there, but they definitely go to both countries, just not every single sailing that's out there. What do most people do at Perfect Day CocoCay? Probably go to the beach. There's a number of beaches at Perfect Day CocoCay, and I would say a vast majority probably go to a beach, whether it is Chill Island, South Beach, Harbor Cove, Breezy Bay, South Beach Club, South Beach and the Cocoa Beach Club. That's anybody's guess. I think it kind of depends on the day. I suspect, if I had to guess, Chill Island is probably the most popular beach because it's the closest. But a lot of people go to the to Oasis Lagoon, the large freshwater pool. By the way, the beaches and the pool are included, complimentary, with one exception, and that is the Cocoa Beach Club, which does cost extra. But then you'll have a smaller subset of people, Whitney, that will go and do the water park or do a jet ski excursion or something like that. But most people go to a beach. The pool is still very popular. Don't get me wrong, the Oasis Lagoon pool. But I think if you're asking what do most people do, they go to a beach. And which beach should I choose? South Beach, Chill Island. I mean, it's really flip a coin. There's not major differences between any of them. They're all really pretty. There's good points about them all. South Beach tends to be the least crowded of the beaches. They also have a snack shack location there. Chill Island has a very, I think, arguably has the best swimming area of the beaches. Harbor Cove is great if you have kids who are not strong swimmers, because it's a little inlet and there's not any waves at all in there, so that's really good for them. Kind of depends on what you're looking for. Is there much difference between the ships in the class of ships? If you asked me this question 10 years ago, I would have said no, not really. But now there is, especially with the amplification, Jamie, the differences between the Freedom and Voyager class ships, in the Oasis, is well, this ship has this feature, this has this. It's mostly things to do on board. The actual structure, the look of the ship, the flow, the layout, pretty much the same. You're really talking about, does the ship have Jamie's Italian or Giovanni's table? Does it have the perfect storm water slides, or does it have a different water slide? Does it have the H2O zone or splashaway bay or no area at all for the kids? That kind of a thing there. So Icon starting in the UK. Any guesstimate on when it will debut here in the US? No. And in fact, Margaret, even though I reported it, you're not incorrect. It's just not confirmed where she's sailing. I mean, Michael Bailey, the CEO of the company, said that there would be a sailing or two from the UK at first, and then she'd go to Miami. But I believe everything Michael Bailey says at the time he says it to be accurate. Things could have changed. It's not necessarily 100% confirmed. Do I expect that to still be the case? Probably. I have no reason not to. But it's not it's not written down. It's not in stone yet. So I wouldn't necessarily consider it I still consider it a rumor. The CEO said it, but it's been a while since he said it. Things can change. That's just my style. Like I'd be a little like, we'll have to wait and see just to confirm it. But the word on the street coming again from Michael Bailey, the CEO, this goes back. I believe he said this back in like March or so. Basically, it would be the U.S., but not timing wise, late 2023. My expectation is November. That is a guess. That's me talking. I have not heard that from the company. I'm just There are certain things in my mind that make sense why that time of year makes sense. It could be earlier, it could be later than that. We don't know yet. Wait to see. But hopefully, Margaret, we'll have answers to all these questions you just asked me next week when I go to Miami for the big Icon of the Seas reveal. Sailing in Man alerts this will be almost 2 years old. Any tips or suggestions on what to do avoid? Yeah, number one, if your son is still using any like toddler supplies like diapers or formula or anything like that, bring way more than you think you need for it. If you're on like a 7 night cruise and you think, well, for 7 nights, I would need this much at home. Yeah, bring like 25% more than that. Number two, I would definitely go and sign your son up for the nursery on board. It costs money. Cisco, you're on vacation. Your child is on vacation. You need a break. This isn't you being a bad parent. This is you being a good parent because your son gets to go and play and have a good time with the counselors. You get a break and enjoy your vacation. Spend the money. I'm telling you, it's the best money you ever spent on your cruise to drop your kid off at the nursery. So register them on day one. Some good things right there. So go on and learn at Galveston in December. Currently paying full and purchase the drink package. Should I purchase the key? Oh boy. I say no. It sounds better than it is. It's very front loaded, and you have to get it for every single person who's 6 and older in the room. The more people you have, I think the less compelling it is. I think a lot of the benefits sound really good on paper, but you can achieve a lot of the same benefits if you did it on your own with a little bit of footwork involved. It's very front loaded, meaning that the most and the best benefits hit you on the first day, but you're paying for the whole duration of the cruise. I would say this. Here's the argument. The argument for the key is if you're below Diamond and Crown and Anchor Society, you're going to buy the internet package no matter what, and you're not staying in a suite. Depending on the price, you can make an argument that you should get the key. I still think you don't need it, but that's my thoughts on it. We've done some articles. We actually did a full review last week on RoyalCaribbeanblog.com about the key. We've revisited it again on Allure of the Seas. Jenna did it. I think she changed her tune on it, but she was also cruising solo on that. So a little bit different experience. Anyway, we have more information about the key at RoyalCaribbeanblog.com. Thank you all so much for your generosity. Have a great week, everybody. Stay safe out there. Do something fun. That's important as well. We'll talk again very soon right here on YouTube. Good night, everybody.